Hey everyone, I'm Heather.
I'm Levi.
And we are the brains and the brawn behind Sage and Stone Homestead. We're here doing our first ever Q&A video, and I think it's good timing for it. First things first though, I know I'm gonna have a lot of repeat viewers. There's gonna be a lot of friends, a lot of family and neighbors. First thing, please like this video and post a comment. When you do so, it helps the YouTube algorithm know that this video is worthwhile and they'll push it out to a broader audience, and that will help us a lot. So we're gonna cut right to the chase.
Okay.
I've tried to order the questions, there's 11 of them, in a way that's gonna flow nicely, and it starts out with how we got here. And we can't not talk about the military.
Yep.
The military is a very big part of why we are here. So Jennifer, one of our faithful subscribers, asked, "It appears that your husband is military. Does he happen to somehow be stationed in a way that is permanent? I'm thinking about everything that you have put into your homestead, and what if he gets PCS'd?" And for those of you that don't know, a PCS is a permanent change of station, meaning that the Army may move us. What will we do if that happens? So, what's the situation?
So I am not stationed in a way that is permanent per se. Nothing is really permanent with the military. However, I am, actively making steps towards getting out of the military so that this can be our permanent home, because not only have we put a lot into the homestead here, but also my entire family lives locally, and I'm not willing to move away from that, not even for a well-paying job.
Right. And one of the reasons that we chose this area was because of his family being here. The military lets you put in requests of where you would hope that they send you. We've gotten the deny for this area twice?
Once.
Twice? We've asked once and been denied, asked a second time, and got it. We're here, we're close to family. The whole plan was for him to retire here and get out of the military here. It may happen sooner rather than later, but it was never the plan to leave, and that's why we've put a lot into this place. So, along the same lines, Jennifer also asked, what is your husband's role in, feelings about, your homestead? So what do? They never see you on camera.
So my role in the homestead is primarily being the heavy mover, building things, putting the fences up, making sure that electrical and plumbing stays in working order as much as I can, and building the U-shaped raised bed gardens, repairing, fixing, reorganizing the barn, built the kidding stalls, and did a couple other things. Framed out the wall for the turkey house that is now the rabbitry. That was an adventure all on its own.
Oh, I wasn't YouTubing then.
No, I know.
Mm-mm.
My feelings about the homestead, living off the land, off the grid, is something I always kind of fantasized about, dreamed about, thought it would be great and cool, but never ever thought that it would actually happen or even almost happen. So it's something that I guess you could say is a dream come true.
And for the record, we do live on grid. We do have city water and we do have electric.
Yes.
But
Electrical
I think what he
plumbing.
means kind of in the middle of nowhere as far as off grid. At our old place where we used to live, there were, what did you say the other day?
I think it was right around 6 acres, and I think it was 90 some odd houses.
So we lived in a place that had a lot of duplex houses, and in a 6 acre area, which we have 9.5 here, there were probably 90 households. And that was military housing, and the way that military does their housing is they kind of judge your house size based on your family size. So all of those houses in that area were bigger, but they were bigger because they were bigger families. So there was a lot of people in a small space where we came from. We've got quite a few questions from our friend Letty. She is at Heavenly Homestead. I'm going to link her channel in the description below. Check her out. She does dairy goats. She asks, have you been farming all of your life? If not, why did you guys start? So for me, it's a not really. I grew up in a small town in Maine, and my dad did have a small garden at all times. He did have a few chickens, and he did have a couple horses at one point. So I grew up around certain types of livestock, and I did grow up growing a little bit of food, but I never would have placed it as I grew up in a farming family or I grew up in a homesteading family. It wasn't quite like that. I don't really recall sitting down at the dinner table and eating something and knowing that we grew it. I'm sure I knew that the eggs on my plate were ours, but it didn't have the same kind of weight or value that it does to me here.
We grew up camping a lot, going fishing. I don't want to say often, but we did fish occasionally. Grew up in Florida. And my mom did have small gardens in the back I remember one year we had some cherry tomatoes that were incredibly prolific and we just couldn't pick them faster than they would ripen. But
it's the best.
No, I wouldn't say, I grew up outdoors, but not farming or homesteading.
And the second part of the question, why did you guys start? And the answer is because of this property we started. I always wanted to grow a little bit of a garden. When we lived in that area that I talked about with all the houses packed together, I had a friend that lived real close by who had a volunteer tomato plant grow in her lavender plant that she bought from a store. And she knew what it was. When it started growing, she knew it was a tomato. I can't say that I would have known that it was a tomato. But she knew, and she put it in her front yard, and she let it go wild. And every couple of days when we went on our family walks, she begged us to take some tomatoes home. And they were so good. And I thought it was so cool that she got to grow all of that food in such a tiny little spot. So I did have a dream of a small garden, but I never could have imagined that what we would be where we are right now with this kind of a space doing all that we are. It really just wasn't on the radar for me until we found this property. It came with a barn, it came with a chicken coop, it came with the garden, it came with a lot already ready to go. It was like a homestead starter pack. It just needed a couple fixins that we've taken care of. That's how we started. And that was in 2019. We purchased this property in April of 2019. So pre-COVID, because I know people are going to be wondering that.
Yeah.
Okay, and Letty also asks, if you were starting over, what would you have done differently? Would you have skipped any animals and started with others?
I don't think anything should have been done differently. And we've definitely learned some lessons on the way, but...
What kind of lessons have we learned?
Rabbit tastes better and is easier than chickens.
Yes, when I bought the house, he was deployed over in Hungary when we purchased this property. So it was basically purchased sight unseen. I came and saw the property the day before we closed. As soon as I saw it and knew the potential, I started researching things that I could do, and I knew I was going to have chickens. And so the first thing that we jumped into was the classic entry-level homesteading animal, the chicken. And so I raised 30 chickens in 2019, and then we jumped right back into it when he got home from deployment and we officially moved in here. We raised several batches of meat chickens and wished we would have started with rabbit, honestly. And on the same lines, my answer is rabbit as well. I would have searched harder for meat quality breeding stock. We were misled a little bit into thinking that it's okay, you can use a regular mutt rabbit, they just take a little bit longer to grow out. But the truth is they eat probably more than twice as much food for that same carcass size. So a quality meat breed rabbit is going to get you a 2.5 pound carcass weight by 8 to 10 weeks of age. We were getting sometimes less than 2.5 pounds out of 16-week-old rabbits. And those rabbits already had some of their sexual hormones set in, and that changed the way that we were able to skin them. It included more fat on the carcasses, which you don't eat when it comes to rabbits. There's just, some of them had bigger bones. There was just a lot more waste in the beginning. Our mutt rabbits, we love them. They've got beautiful fur. We still have some of them, but I wish that I would have tried harder to find the quality meat breeds that we have now. What's the one thing you can't live without with your farm, animals-wise? Letty says she would have said she couldn't live without the garden, but animals, what's one animal we can't live without?
I would probably say, despite my last answer, the chickens, because they are dual purpose. Mm-hmm. They give you eggs for a few years, and those eggs can produce more of those chickens, and then those chickens, when they stop producing eggs, are meat.
I was going to say something similar. For me, it was harder to choose between the goats and the chickens, and the reason that I think I would choose goat, because goats can also give you a protein every day, just like a chicken can. So you can sell a chicken locally here, a ready to lay aged chicken is around $10, where a goat kid can go for $250, $350 and upwards for a registered dairy goat. So the goats have the return of the milk and the meat, but you can also sell their babies for more, and I think that makes a goat win for me. What are your favorite homesteading books? And I have a small stack here. Usually I go off of YouTube videos to learn my things. I have learned a whole ton off of YouTube, but I do have a few books. Here's my stack.
It's a small sampling.
So we do raise a lot of meat on our homestead, and this has become a real valuable resource. The basic butchering of livestock and game. It goes over ways to butcher every kind of livestock that you can think of, really without any fancy equipment. It goes from deer to rabbits, probably to poultry.
It shows on the front.
Yeah, there's poultry. See, here's chicken.
Beef, veal, pork.
Yeah.
Lamb.
Lots of things. This is a good one. And for my gardeners out there, you've probably seen this one if you follow Roots and Refuge. If you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you. You need to get over there. But Jess has a really great beginner's gardener book. This has a lot of very good tips and resources and experiences. And these two, I think, go hand in hand. This is Carrots Live Tomatoes. This is a good one to learn about companion planting. You kind of learn what goes together with what. Like, some things don't like to grow with other things because they take too many nutrients from that other thing. This helps you figure all of that out. And then this Square Foot Gardening book, it helps you figure out how much food can I fit in a small space. And it really is a super valuable resource. So I like those for gardening. And then for beekeeping, which I'm brand new beekeeper this year, so I had a lot of questions. This natural beekeeping book has been a real awesome resource. And this one is just a really fun read. And this book goes through a lot of research that's been done into their swarming activities and the ways that bees reproduce their colonies. Love it. And this book, I can't go without recommending this book. If you are a dairy goat owner, you're going to need this book. Troubleshoots a lot of things for you. I've used it a bunch. I have some things bookmarked. I've showed this before in previous videos, but this goes over some of the ways that kids can present themselves and ways that you can help them get out. Super valuable for more than just kidding. Do you think having a farm ties you down to your home? Or do you feel like you can come and go when needed?
Like, yeah, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, and that's how I feel too. We are tied down. It takes me a good long while, about an hour and a half in the morning, to do all the chores that I need to do on the homestead. And then there are some in the evening, but the evening chores are real short. It's just basically topping off waters and checking on the goats, making sure no one's got bloat or anything. But mainly, it's the dairy goats. When you have a dairy animal, you need to be there like clockwork to milk them. We only milk our goats once a day, but it still means that I need to be here every 24 hours to milk them. And yeah, it's not like it's a bad thing. We don't go places, we're more than happy to be tied down to this place, trust me. What does it cost to start beekeeping? I heard it is expensive. Beekeeping can be very expensive, but it really doesn't have to be. Bees swarm all the time into cardboard boxes and holes in a tree. And those are free bees. Like, you can keep bees for free if you want to. It'll be a little bit more difficult. Bees do not have to be expensive. Yes, if you want to buy the flow hive is expensive. Bee suits are expensive. Bee box, like, everything can be expensive, but it does not have to be. You can make a swarm catcher out of scraps in your yard and catch a wild swarm. You really can. If you've just got a little bottle of lemongrass oil, you can catch a wild swarm. You can make boxes, that top bar hives, that don't even have a full frame. They've just got a bar that lays down into the box that the bees build their natural comb down on. So really, you can do a lot with a little when it comes to bees. So don't let cost really hold you back with that. My sister-in-law Jessie asked, what is your favorite thing to grow in each growing season of the garden? Because we live where we can plant 2 crops. We live in zone 7B, so we can do a spring and summer and a fall winter here.
Fall winter, Brussels sprouts.
That's a good one. For me, I really enjoy the salads. I like being able to choose any kind of green, like salads, kales, chards, spinach. I want to grow them all because I can put kales and spinaches and things in my casseroles, and then we can always pick a salad. There's always something easily added to dinners when it comes to the fall and winter garden when growing greens. Those things don't grow well over the summer here because it gets really hot. They'll just go to seed. But that's what I really enjoy about the fall and winter garden are greens.
Spring and summer garden, Kajari melons.
The Kajari, you love
Yeah.
those? Those are good ones. We actually grew amazing Kajaris this last summer. The first summer, we got 2 little farty melons that weren't very good. We did it right this year, though, and the Kajari was a slam dunk. It was really good. But in the spring and summer garden, so we haven't gotten a chance to harvest asparagus yet.
That'll be a good one.
That's going to be a really good one. It's definitely a springtime one, though. It's dormant right now, and it's not going to put up new shoots until springtime. I don't know if that's going to be a favorite, but I'm super excited about it. I probably couldn't go without the tomatoes, though. We don't eat a lot of fresh of the big slicers. We do eat some cherry tomatoes, but we have a lot of tomato products, like sauces and salsas, that we really love and would be hard to live without.
Do we still have Mr. Butthead Blue Slate Turkey? No, we do not.
No.
I mean, sort of. He's in the fridge, right?
Yeah. His
Yeah.
carcass is in the fridge. We
He's
had
in
him
the
for
fridge.
Thanksgiving. He was all right. He's an 18-month-old heritage breed turkey that we really should have roasted low and slow, but instead he was deep fried. And for some reason, that turkey had this much fat on his breast. I don't know how. I don't feel like I overfed him, but there was a lot of fat on Tom, and I think he got the last laugh because he wasn't as delicious of a turkey as we've raised before. So no, Tom is gone, and I don't keep turkeys anymore with my goats. Even the girl turkeys were going after my goats. They were attacking them, and they were fanning out their tail feathers, and I didn't realize it until after the turkeys were out of the goat pasture that the goats were really not using their pasture for fear of the turkeys. The goats have been all over that pasture, grazing on the dry grass, and I really feel bad for them. I feel bad that they were kept out of their pasture by the tyrant turkeys.
Yep.
But no more. We are still raising some turkeys. I do still have some of Tom's babies that were growing out. But I am trying another breed. This year I bought some Royal Palm turkeys, and they're growing up nicely, and we've heard that they're nicer.
Hopefully.
We are also going to raise a broad-breasted turkey every year, just that classic Thanksgiving turkey. And I like the turkey breast to use for turkey jerky because I think I might like turkey jerky a little bit more than venison jerky because it's easier to chew.
Question: if you could give one piece of advice to new homesteaders, what would it be? I would say don't get discouraged and give up. Instead, learn and move on. And sometimes moving on is moving on in the same project in a different way. Sometimes it's moving on to a new project and admitting to yourself that you're not capable of or ready for whatever this project is that you're having difficulty with.
That's really good. So that really goes along with what I wanted to say would be my advice for a brand new homesteader. I'm talked about her before. I'm going to talk about her again. Jess from Roots and Refuge Farm. She has a lot of motivational talk and a lot of motivational quotes that she puts into her videos, and I love watching her. And one of my favorite quotes that she says sometimes is, "Keep showing up." So essentially, don't give up. There's a lot of hard things that come up on a homestead. Animals die, plants die, lots of living things, they can die. And as long as you keep showing up and keep learning and keep adapting, things should fall into place. So that's that. We've completed all 11 questions. Let us know down in the comments if you have any more questions or if you'd like us to make this a regular thing. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yep.
Roll closer because you look tiny and I look huge.
And now we have a question for you. Comment below and let us know where you found out about or how you found out about our YouTube channel. What brought you here?
Yeah, I'm really curious to know the same. We've got 1,600 subscribers now. So grateful for that. We'd like to know where you came from. Where'd you hear about us? Blooper Reel. I mentioned Jess over at Roots and Refuge Farm, and she has a quote that I really like. We actually have it on the back of our business cards. And it says, no, it's a different one, different quote. That one's different. I'm trying to exactly figure out what I want to say. But do you feel it? It's right here. Is that along the lines of what you were thinking?
Basically,
Like,
yeah.
don't give up,
Yeah.
but keep showing up. And Jess is really good at making the words happen. And I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not. Like, she's so good at it. Like, you think I'm good at it. She's so good at it. It just goes blah, blah, or it's really good editing.
It's probably a little bit of both.
I don't have to. Okay. Now I'm not gonna stop laughing. I'm gonna have that dumb look on my face. I'm trying to hold back up.
I mean, we could come back to it later. You gonna ask?
No, it's you.
No.
I talk to them all the time. They asked about you. So many questions.
Now we have a question for you. How did you find out about Sage and Stone Homestead on our YouTube channel?
There's gonna be a blooper reel.
Don't do it.